Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
How are you, man? Thank you for doing this.
Well, I'm glad to do it, and thank you very much for taking the time to be able to do this.
Awesome.
Oh, well, of course, we're here to talk about the brand new album from Pale Horse Named Death, When the World Becomes Undone. I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album over the course of the last couple weeks, and I just love what's going on with this album. It just feels like the band just continues to get stronger with every subsequent album, and this is easily the strongest album you guys have done to date. I love the variation that's going on there. I love the themes that are going on there, and just everything that's going on with the Pale Horse Named Death.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. That was the intention, and I love the fact that people are saying that this third album is actually the next progression to a bigger level, a higher level, a better level. It's kind of the direction I wanted to make sure we were going in instead of going backwards. So thank you so much for that reassurance.
Oh, absolutely. And I truly mean it, too. I mean, of course, being a huge fan of your work, no matter what instrument or vocal ability that you're going with in whatever project you're a part of. I mean, it's great to see that A Pale Horse Named Death is back in 2019 with a new album like this, and just like you were going for. I mean, just the fact that you guys are continuing to get stronger with every album. I mean, whether it was the first single or being able to fully realize what's going on with this album by being able to check it out from start to finish. I mean, it's great to see the progression that's going on.
Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate it.
So, with that said, how did the songwriting process begin for this new album?
It began, the sketches and the concept began for me in 2014. I had the title and the concept since then. And that year, and over the years, I was sketching and recording the ideas and putting things together and creating, the ideas. But then everything came to fruition a year ago when we had to ramp things up, and then that's when I began to write all the lyrics and taking the concept to the next level, doing the final arrangements on the musical layout. So pretty much it's been in the works for a while. I had distractions in life. Things took over in life also, and then I got distracted by doing other records and stuff and touring, and basically it took a little time, but I think everything happened for a reason, and this is a good climate to release a record of this kind of stature. The other thing that's different is that we had some member change where I did the first two albums. I produced and worked on the records with Matt Brown. He's also the guitarist in the band. He did not no longer want to be involved when we wanted to reactivate and work on this record. So we had, after some auditions, we had Joe Taylor join the band, who was from Lita Ford and Doro. Even though they were musically different spectrums, Joe was such an accomplished, well-rounded guitarist that he walked in and nailed everything, every solo, every part on the old material. So then the other different part was that when it came to the production and the recording of the album, me and Eric Morgan, who is the bassist of the band, we joined forces together to produce the record and tried to do a little bit of a different approach that I didn't get to do on the last records, which was to be even more conceptual, more cinematic, and more epic. And in the end, it ended up being the longest record we ever did at 63 minutes long. And we have all these soundscapes that Eric worked on the record that really adds that whole ambiance of, like, you sit back, close your eyes, and just go off into this movie that we created, this soundtrack of a cinematic experience. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, and it's incredible how it can work out that way. I mean, whether it's the lineup changes or anything else that can happen with a band. I mean, there's the trials and tribulations being a part of any band, but the fact that you guys are able to, just find the right members to be able to get this band to continue to progress, and of course, yourself being able to take more of a stance of being able to add more of the cinematic moments, which I personally feel from the fan perspective, I really love that, and it really does feel like this great full-fledged cinematic concept that's going on throughout the album, and you have those great interludes in between particular songs, and it really fits well together.
Oh, that's great. That's exactly. I mean, this is all like deep to my ears. I'm glad you're feeling and perceiving it that way. And I'm stoked. I really, when every time you do a record, you don't know how people are going to take it. So to hear this, and I've heard this from a few other folks. Actually, I've been hearing it from everybody this week, and this is great. And I couldn't be more honored and flattered that people are receiving the music that I worked so hard and the band worked so hard on to do, receiving it in such a positive way. And maybe it's because it's kind of a breath of fresh air, too, with what's going on. Seems like a lot of bands are doing other stuff, and there's not many bands doing this kind of thing. And then, of course, having our roots and the sounds our past of like Typo Negative and things like that. I think it's a good time, and it's a good reception so far. I hope it continues. I hope the band gets more exposure and gets to get the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, and I definitely feel as long as it gets the right lights and it gets that right promotion and everything, I mean, it definitely will elevate the band to that next level. I mean, it's got everything that's going on there. I mean, it can get so dark and heavy, it can get so catchy, it's got that great cinematic feel that's going on there. So, as long as people like sit down and actually enjoy what they hear, if they give it the time to be able to appreciate it, I think they will.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, man.
Oh, definitely. And with that, I mean, obviously with this album, I mean, you can tell from the song titles alone, let alone once you actually start to really listen to the lyrics about like how dark and heavy this album gets. I mean, whether you look at it from a worldwide scale all the way to the individual self, I mean, you can pick apart things that, it's just like there's so many great dark moments that are on there. So with that, what was it like for you to finally be able to like pen those lyrics down and then record them and get those feelings out there?
It's literally like anti-suicide therapy. I had a lot of ups and downs. Starting with after my second record came out. Me and my wife, we had our second daughter, and she was born disabled and blind, and we started going through a lot of stuff with getting her, trying to help her. And so that was a very dark feeling for us to try to keep our heads up in this situation. As parents and mother and father, it's very sad to see any of your children suffer. And so that added to the darkness in my mind. It made me very, very, very sad and depressed inside. And then you have other life experiences throughout the years, and former bandmates or people working against you or turning on you or betraying you, and then the constant battle of being manically depressed, and then having I've had some health concerns, and so all these things over the years, I blasted. Honestly, I had all the ideas in my head, but I blasted the lyrics. The lyrics all came out starting last year because I took that. Plus, there was some family feud stuff in my family with other relatives that were really bad too. So I kind of feel that you have to let life happen, and bad things sometimes they have to happen to have this kind of feeling and content and be able to write something with sincerity that has truth behind it, instead of writing about bullshit and making crap up. I take these things, I channel them, I take these sad moments and I channel them, but yet I write them so non-specific that a lot of people can relate to it directly and say, wow, man, that sounds like my fucking life, or that sounds like something that had happened to me, because I'm not saying specifically what it is. I'm just invoking and saying the emotion of what's going on, what these feelings feel like. You know what I mean? So, and I don't even do it on purpose. It just comes out naturally, and it works out that way where people can relate and feel a connection. And I think there's not enough of that these days. I think maybe there's not enough sincerity, or artists maybe writing with their heart on their sleeves. You follow?
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I was going to bring that up myself. As a longtime sufferer of depression, nearly 2 decades now, like once I really started to like pay attention to what was going on thematically and lyrically with the album, I was able to connect to it so much more. And I do love the open-endedness, because anyone that might be suffering with any kind of life struggles, be it mental, physical, or just life in general, they're able to pick something apart from this album. It might be a particular song or a lyric or whatever the case is, they're able to pick up on something like that. And I definitely agree with you. There's not enough of that sincerity when it comes to possible negative emotions that's going on in the world and just wanting to get those feelings out there. So the fact you were able to make an album like this, despite all the hard, trying times that are going on right now with you personally and the world abroad, I mean, I really appreciate that from my point of view as well, because I needed an album like this in 2019.
Okay, I'm glad you're saying that, and you know what? I'm glad you have the courage or the honesty to come forth and say, you know, what's going on in you, and that's kind of my goal. Depression, or you know, people find themselves sometimes in a very dark spot, dark corner, and there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that have, like, it's not a day that goes by where a sliver of suicidal thought goes through your mind. And there's a lot of people trying to battle to keep their heads up. And I think one of the most detrimental things to happen to people is that, you know, I think social media is can be extremely beneficial, but also extremely dangerous and destructive, because all it takes, because now you have these, like, kind of weak young people that are born into this, okay? Like, when I was born and when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I was a teenager. We didn't have this crap. We didn't have social media, okay? Now you got kids that are killing themselves because some schoolmate said something about them on social media, and then everybody laughed at them in social media. And it's become such a weak-minded society where people are being raised to be so fragile also. And if you have someone that has a condition, and if you have someone that has a little bit, that is battling depression, and they happen to be also fragile in that way, well, that has the recipe of guaranteeing someone taking their life because of somebody making a post or bullying them online. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think there's, you know, people have to find another way. And what this record is about is that as dark as it gets, it means that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's why you hear birds singing in the track "Closure." Closure is an actual recording of a real funeral of a priest speaking with the casket over the grave about to be dropped in. And you hear dogs barking, you hear evil things in the background, but yet you also hear throughout the whole thing birds singing. And it's supposed to mean that for every hell there's a heaven. For every dark corner there's the potential of light over the edge. And you have to try to persevere and find a way to either get rid of the toxic things, help yourself, talk to somebody, whether it's via medicine or therapy or counseling. Don't just take the easy way out, because there's a yin and yang to everything. So as bad as things are, you have to try to find the light and the good in the bad.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, and that's just another reason why I appreciate this album so much. And you know, just like when you do express all of those negative feelings that are going on there, I mean, whenever a band or any form of art like showcases that the more dark, negative things that could be happening in life, there is that positive that goes on there as well, because it is a relatable feeling when you do have those dark feelings that are going on, and when you find other people that are going through similar struggles like that, it can be a very positive thing knowing that you're not alone.
Exactly. When you can talk about it and you find you have something in common with somebody that, wow, you feel that way too? Oh, you thought about yoking yourself too? Or you feel you don't like the way life is with your parents or with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your husband or wife or your friends or your bandmates? You know, when you find some kind of solace in someone to kind of share the pain, it actually feels better. I think that's why people love to go to concerts. When people go to concerts, you got this mass gathering of people, and you're all feeling good together, and that's a great feeling. And you're watching the band that you like, and everyone becomes like this army, and everyone forgets all the bad for that day. And it's important to voice and try to find help. You know, that's why there's phone numbers you can call and people you can talk to that are perfect strangers, and that's important. You gotta try to let it out. If you don't let it out, you're like a tea kettle. You're a pressure cooker, and something's gonna happen. Whether people become destructive, violent, heavy on the drug use, heavy on the alcohol abuse, heavy on the physical abuse, mental abuse, take it out on someone that doesn't deserve it. so I can go on and on.
Oh, oh, of course. But, again, just like bringing it back to this particular album, I mean, it's so great. I mean, even though, of course, with all the struggles that are going on with you personally, that you were able to persevere to make this fantastic piece of art to be able to share with the world. So it can be that relatable thing that's going on there. Open-ended enough so people can interpret it their own ways, but being able to have that shared feeling of what's going on in the world today. And with that, I just imagine when the opportunities come up to be able to hear these sounds live, that's going to have even much more of an impact because of that.
Well, yeah, we're working. We have a show on the release date coming up, and we're shooting to do 3 of the tracks live amongst all the other stuff from our catalog, and I think it'll be even furthermore therapeutic for folks and for myself to get to do these songs live for the first time.
Oh, I can absolutely imagine so. And, with the catalog becoming so huge now between all of these albums and being able to get it on there, I mean, it's so great to see that the previous albums are going to be getting representation, but also making sure that this album gets the live representation it deserves.
Yeah, I can only hope that we get the fair justice and exposure that we deserve. It's really easy to get lost in the shuffle. I mean, there's just billions of bands now putting out billions of records, and I hope that it gets noticed. That's all I can ask for, is that it gets noticed, and people, maybe we step up to the next level.
Yeah, and again, like I've mentioned before, I mean, this album does have that potential to do it, and that's why it's such an honor to be able to talk to you about this album. Just get those real feelings out there, promote this album, which is easily going to be one of my favorite albums of the year for both the emotional level and, of course, just the music being just great music. And if there's others out there that have the same feelings that I do, and it just gets that proper promotion, hopefully with my help and others that you get to talk to about this album, that it will get to that next level. And it will reach the masses that it deserves to hear.
Awesome, thank you. I hope so too. I appreciate the enthusiasm and the support, and I appreciate the kind reception you have for the album and the belief you have in the album. I hope everyone's on board just like you with it. And who knows? You never know. It's like a lotto ticket. You just never know. You got to be in it to win it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with that, I think that's a fantastic note to end on. And once again, thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me so truthfully, so impactfully about everything that's going on in the world of A Pale Horse Named Death and the brand new album, When the World Becomes Undone. Easily going to be one of my favorite albums of 2019, easily one of my favorite albums right now, and it was just great to be able to talk to you about all this going on, and I wish you guys the absolute best for the promotion of this album, because it deserves to be heard by everyone that's willing to give it the opportunity to check it out.
Oh, thanks, man. And anytime you want to do another interview, just get a hold of John Freeman, our publicist. I'd be more than happy to talk, or if we're ever in your neighborhood doing a show, definitely don't hesitate to come down and hang out and pick my brain some more. It's unfortunate. I've been having this problem all day. These 30 minutes are just, in a way, too short, because once you get into the roll of things, it's like, oh, gotta go, there's another call. So anytime you want to, recap on anything or do something further extensive, feel free to contact our press publicist, and I wish you the best of luck as well, and keep your head up too when you're feeling down.